The garden is asleep, but I'm already dreaming of next year and how to get the most flowers for my money. One of my favorite places to daydream, Farmer Bailey's Garden Club website. Honestly, it's amazing we can order these high-quality plugs as home gardeners. Last year, I grew his lisianthus, and I got huge July blooms and even a second flush in the fall, so I am definitely getting more. And plugs make sense for flowers that are tricky to grow, but lots of flowers are super easy to grow from seed yourself, so you may as well save money on those, right? Today, I'm sharing 6 flowers that you should start from seed and 6 that I think are totally worth buying as plugs. Plugs are tiny young plants that someone else has already started for you, one step ahead of seeds. In years past, they have mostly been available to flower farmers who buy them and grow them in huge quantities. Now that home gardeners can get them in smaller quantities, plugs can really make sense for people who don't have the equipment to start seeds, or who are short on time, or who just want to try a bunch of different varieties very easily. But a lot of the plugs sold on the Garden Club website are dead easy to start from seed. So why not save your money to spend on more lisianthus? Here are 6 flowers that are super easy to start from seed. Matricaria is the fancy name for feverfew, an adorable clustered flower that will come back from year to year. It's available in tons of little cutie varieties, and it starts real easily from seed. It's even cold hardy, so you don't have to wait until the last frost date to plant it outside. This year, I am overwintering some to have blooms first thing in the spring. They are absolutely lovely in bouquets. They make them look so whimsical and sweet, and there really is no need to spend a ton of money on feverfew plants when they're so easy to start yourself. Next on my list is Rudbeckia, also known as Black-Eyed Susan, another perennial that grows readily from seed. I have started them from seed under grow lights inside, and I have sowed them over the winter, and both have worked really well. They die back when it's cold, and they come right back in the spring. Lots of little cutie varieties on this one too. This year I grew Indian Summer, Cherry Brandy, and Triloba, and next year I'm adding Sahara and Goldilocks. This is a prolific, easy to grow plant that the pollinators love, and it's super simple to get it started. Annual Phlox is another cute, sweet, easy to grow plant that comes in lovely cool toned colors. And again, it could not be easier to grow. You can start it inside or direct sow it in the garden after the last frost, and it takes only about 60, maybe 70 days from planting to bloom. I used a ton of this in my bouquets this year. It just looks good with everything. Marigolds are another one that are so easy to grow that you do not need to be spending this kind of money on plants. You can literally throw the seeds in the soil after the last frost, or you can start them beforehand inside if you want. But look at all of the varieties they come in. Absolutely stunning colors, and they work really well as a companion plant because they have a strong smell that deters animals from wanting to eat them. Cosmos are another flower that are so easy to grow from seed. You can start them inside if you want to, or just direct sow them in the garden after the last spring frost. And they're just so lovely. They add a really romantic, whimsical sense of movement to your bouquets. And they're super vigorous. They will bloom right up into the frost. They also come in a ton of varieties, all different kinds of shades of pink and red and white and yellow and orange. Some are fluffy, some are flat, some have pleated petals like a pleated skirt, and some of them even have a fluffy middle. The only one that I would say might really be worth it to get as a plug is the chocolate cosmos, because they can be hard to get your hands on and they're mostly grown from roots rather than seeds. So plugs might be worth it in that case. Finally, we come to zinnias, my one true love, my dream flower. They love hot weather, so you can either direct sow them in the garden after the last frost, or you can start them inside under lights and plant them out once the soil is warm. They aren't too demanding in terms of soil quality, but do keep an eye on them because in humid climates like mine, they will start to develop powdery mildew after a while. But man, you really can't find a nicer flower than a zinnia. They come in every color of the rainbow: hot colors, cool colors, bright colors, pastel colors, all different kinds of shapes and sizes, from these teeny tiny Oklahoma ones all the way up to the big fluffy ones from specialty zinnia breeders. And yeah, if you just scroll through this website, there are literally hundreds of types of zinnias that work especially well for cut flowers. So from my point of view, I would much rather spend $20 or $30 on a couple dozen types of zinnias rather than just a few plants. And I am sure that the garden club plugs are spectacular, but you can get really similar results just planting your own seeds. Some other easy ones to start from home are yarrow, amaranth, bupleurum, celosia, sweet william, and straw flowers. Now let's look at some of the trickier and fancier flowers that are available as plugs that are, in my opinion, worth every penny. First and foremost, we gotta talk about the lisianthus. These are absolutely stunning flowers that last forever in the vase, but they are pretty tricky to get started from seed. Once you have the plugs, they're very easy to grow. And Farmer Bailey sells so many ridiculously beautiful varieties that I could easily fill up my entire garden with them. Last year, I grew Celeb 2 Queen, Chateau Blue, and this one, the Roseanne Black Pearl, my favorite. Now, I am going to try to grow some from seeds next season, but it takes several months for them to get going, and you need perfect humidity and light levels the entire time. So knowing that I tend to be a little bit slapdash at caring for seedlings inside, I also bought a bunch of different varieties from the garden club. Basically, every dollar I save growing other stuff from seed is going straight into lisianthus plugs. Next up, delphinium. These are stunning spikes of flowers that come in shades of blue, purple, pink, and white, and they can get up to 6 feet tall. But like lisianthus, they take a long time to grow into a plantable seedling, up to 4 months, and they can be finicky. I actually bought some of these earlier this fall to try and overwinter them to get some flowers next spring, because so far my attempts to grow them from seed have not been successful. I am going to keep trying them for sure, but in the meantime, I hope the ones that I got from Farmer Bailey a couple months ago put on a show for me next spring. Now, scabiosas are pretty easy to grow from seed, and I have grown them, but there is a gorgeous new little creature on the scene called scoop scabiosa, which is newly developed and only available as plugs. I got a few to try for next spring, and I'm pumped because they look insane. I only wish I could buy in huge farmer-like quantities so I could get some of these other colors. Look at that banana, that lavender, and that pale pink. My heart is beating so fast right now. Now, you guys know that I have grown hella snapdragons every season since I started gardening, but look at this new variety, Snapstar. I haven't seen seeds for these anywhere, but I am freaking out looking at them. I need them, and so I got some. Gerber daisies are something that you usually see in garden centers, but I don't see them in these colors, and I know that they are tricky to start from seed. So if I was going to grow some Gerber daisies, I would probably splash out and get some of these because look at them. Finally, Garden Club sells some truly amazing echinaceas. That's another one that you see at garden centers, and they're not too hard to start from seed, but the colors and forms of the ones on the Garden Club website are wild, and I've never seen them on offer in person or in seed catalogs. So if you love them like I love them, they could be a worthwhile investment, especially considering that they're perennials that will come back year after year. Now, if you do decide to order from Garden Club, be aware that they will ask you to choose a ship date for your order. So you want to choose a date that lets the plants arrive around the time when you will actually plant them. Lizzies want to be planted about 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost date, which is also a decent time to plant delphinium, snapdragons, and scabiosa. They all prefer to get started in cool weather. Gerberas and echinaceas want to be planted after the frost when the weather is warmer. Now, I planted my Lizzies last year in mid-April, and that worked fine, so I'm just going to do that again. All of the plugs want to be planted within a couple of days of arriving at your house. So when you place your order and you pick your ship date, make sure that you review the growing guides for each of the flowers you're getting so that you know when they want to be planted in relationship to the last frost date in your area. That way you can be sure to get them off to a great start. Okay, so that is my advice on what to start from seed versus what to buy as plugs so you can get the maximum number of flowers for your budget. If you have any questions, just pop them in the comments. I'm more than happy to help however I can. And before I go, I wanted to share my last couple of bouquets of the season with you. What a wonderful time we've had growing these babies together. And the party is going to continue inside this winter as I make my new home cozy, create some art, and start planning for next spring. So I hope you will subscribe and join our merry band of folks who love pretty things. Have a great week, friends. Bye for now.